and welcome back to AWS On Air, live from reInvent in Las Vegas. I'm Jasmine Kiles, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Gigi.
Hey everyone, I'm Gigi Behringer. I'm one of your co-hosts today for AWS On Air. We are here all week streaming from the expo floor. As you can see, we are back. If you're joining us for the first time today, we're going over some new product launches. We have a friend with us right now. Jean, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, super happy to be here. My name is Jean, lead engineering for MemoryDB.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
and today we're going to talk about your new launch that just went live yesterday. So we're telling everybody congrats because you deserve it.
Thank you,
it takes
thank
a
you.
lot to bring this into fruition, I'm sure.
Yes.
A lot of our customers been waiting for this.
Yeah, good. So we're going to talk about building resilient apps with Amazon
Yes, that's right.
MemoryDB multi-region feature.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, so on Sunday we launched MemoryDB multi-region, right? So it supports multiple region, it lets you have active, and have your application close to your customers.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
I said this earlier, you must be the most relaxed day that you've been in a long time.
Yeah,
reInvent launches are no joke.
I know, for sure, yeah. Launching a product like this and a feature like this is definitely a feat.
Yeah. So we are live here. We're watching the chat. So if you have any questions for Jean while we're up here, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And we're going to get into some of the content. And I'm going to kick off the first question. So what is Amazon MemoryDB multi-region?
Yeah, so MemoryDB multi-region is a fully managed, durable database, active between regions. So you can have your customers wherever you want. Like you can have your customers next to your application and have high performance and high reliability with 5 nines of availability.
So you can do that all over the world. You can have in different regions the same exact MemoryDB
data set in every region. You can have customers on the East Coast, customers in Europe, and all interact with the database at the same time.
With the same amount of availability.
The same amount of availability, exactly, yeah.
Amazing.
So you kind of teased it a little bit. You said, I can have customers in one region or customers in a different region, but why would a customer need multi-region applications?
Yeah, so like I said, customers are everywhere, right? Like we have customers in Europe, customers in Asia, customers in North America. So really, every application is now global, right? Like you want to hit every market, so it's really important to have your database available and your data spread across all those regions. Think use cases like retail with session stores or leaderboard for games, right? The players will be everywhere, and you want the data set to be everywhere too.
Yeah.
Got it. So what were you hearing exactly from customers that drove you to launch this particular feature?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the reliability, right? Customers, some of them want DR or disaster recovery scenario when they have the main data in one region and they want to have another regions as fallback. Others are more like truly global, where they want the same data set to be available in every region and interact with the database in every region.
Okay, I think that's so cool. I think it really hits home for me when a feature works for a DR use case, but then also is actively helping customers that have a totally different use case, which is maybe just global users for their applications. And the fact that it can do both, it's not just a DR feature, it's really doing it all. I just love it. And I think it's really cool that it unlocks so many use cases for you guys.
Exactly, yeah, that's the power of active, right? With active, you can write to multiple regions at once. So like you said, you can use it for DR, which is more really like an active-passive use case, but the fact that the region, the database is active, you don't really have to worry where, like failing over the database or have a region read-write, another region read-only. You can write to both regions at the same time, or you can do like partial DR, where you can like fail over some of your customers in one region to another region, right? Not all of them at once. And that's through the active nature of MemoryDB multi-region.
Yeah, so you've kind of started to tell us why customers should use the feature, but give me the spiel. I need to know.
How does it work?
Sure. Yeah. Let's get into the demo, right?
Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
You wanted to see the demo? I want to see the demo.
I want to see the
Just
demo.
making sure.
Okay. So I started with the diagram. It won't be a deck. We all here to see like the demo and the code live. But I just thought it would be useful to like show what we're going to be talking about today. So today I'll show a demo of a multi-region leaderboard, just like we talked about. Multiple region, we simulate a game engine. So the idea is the game will be available in US East 1 and EU Central 1 too, so in 2 regions. And then we have MemoryDB cluster across both regions that replicates data back and forth between the 2 regions. So it's really easy to go and get set up. So this is our UI, our AWS console. We can create the multi-region cluster. So we can see here, I have a cluster with the 2 regions. You have to select your instance type, your database, like region, and then the number of shards you want to have. So the shard really lets you scale out your database. You can have up to hundreds of shards in a MemoryDB cluster.
Okay. And you choose, so for your node type, just to dive in
Yeah.
here, you choose the same one for the entire MemoryDB cluster, and then it propagates those two types of node types for the two different sets.
Yeah. Like think about it. The data set is the same across all the regions. So the node type, they have to be the same across all the regions because they will hold the entire data
Exactly.
set across all the regions. So
Got
they
it.
need to be the same size. And we can click here and support all the security features like encryption at rest, encryption in transit, and we have the same thing for the other region, and you have an access to the other region too. We support up to 5 regions,
Oh, wow.
so you could be adding region as you go. You have to decide right away how many regions you want to have. You can add and remove regions,
Yeah.
up to 5.
What does that look like for the addition process? Is it a quick click of a few
it's quick.
buttons or API call?
I won't do it here, but it's
Yeah.
basically you have to go to the cluster and say add a region. So you go to modify, and when you do modify, actually it's another button, I think. It says like here. It says add a region here. So you go here and you can just add a region, and then you can go through a few clicks, select the regions you want to have.
Oh, can we see which region? So I do know right now we are, okay. So you have an existing cluster in Frankfurt right now. We are live on the homepage for Germany
Yes.
on Twitch. So I just want to do a shout out for that. That was all planned. It was all on purpose.
Exactly.
Obviously. But we're very excited to have our viewers in from Germany today.
Yes, for sure. So we have Germany, and we can have other regions too. We launch with 12 regions, with more regions to come, and the cluster, like I said, can have up to 5 regions.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then the other tab here is actually the view from North Virginia, right?
Yep.
So that's where both clusters are present right now
Got it.
for that single multi-region cluster. And yeah, so now that we got the cluster in place, let's take a look at the application that
Yeah.
I created for the demo today, right? So like I mentioned, it's a game engine application. So the idea is the game will have players will be updating scores, and then we'll have a multi-region leaderboard. But let's take a look at how it looks for a single region. So I'm going to quickly walk through the code. So first we have to select those, connect to Valkey. So Valkey is the API that will support for MemoryDB multi-region.
Okay.
Valkey is a highly performant open source engine that's governed by the Linux Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's compatible with the Redis API, if you're familiar with Redis.
Okay. And is that the only one that this offering currently works with?
Yes.
Okay.
Only with Valkey.
And we have a question in the chat. So he just, R. Sirapon, that's mispronounced. He wants to know, or they want to know, you still need to provision the similar cluster size in both regions. Yes.
Yes,
So,
you do, yeah.
Yeah, you said you launch it for the entire cluster and it'll propagate every new.
Yes, think about it. It's active. So all the updates will be happening from one region, also have to happen in the other region.
the
So you need the
others.
same amount roughly of write capacity
Yep.
across
Okay.
your entire cluster. And then for the dataset size, the node type, then you need the same, like every region will store the same amount of data. Even if you write from one region and write from another region, eventually that data will be everywhere, right?
Yeah.
The thing you can do though is if you have, let's say for the R use case, so you have more read throughput required in one region versus another, you can have more replica in a region than another, right?
Okay.
So for the R use case, you can have a region with one replica, but maybe your workload requires a lot of read throughput, so you will need like 3 replicas in your main region, and you can add and remove replica independently.
Yeah.
That's a nice cost-saving tactic.
Yeah. And speaking of cost, Ray has a question. The user said, please call me Ray. So, hi, Ray.
You got it, Ray. Anything.
How about the cost? Where can someone go and find cost information about this?
Yeah, so our cost is live on the pricing page. We'll launch on Sunday. So the cost of MemoryDB multi-region, the only thing we'll charge for extra is the data transfer cost between regions.
Okay.
So it's pretty typical to like other multi-region offering in AWS. Data transfer, essentially the amount of data we'll be transferring from one region to another.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The team did drop the blog post in there, so make sure you capture that blog post, and that'll get you down to more information to find information about the pricing.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's see it.
Let's see the demo.
Let's
All
dive
right.
in.
So that's the game, right? So the game will have players. So we generate some players in the region, and then I have the game loop. Reduce the text.
Oh, can you just make it a little bigger? My eyes are not so great.
Okay, yeah. Is that big enough for everyone?
Maybe, yeah,
That's great. Okay.
perfect.
So this is essentially the game loop. Every quarter of a second or 200 millisecond, we'll be picking a player at random and then update the player score. So here we pick a player, update the number of points from a 0 to 10 value. And
Got
then
it.
this is the key of the application, like the leaderboard. That's what I want to talk about, the multi-region leaderboard. So here we use a Z increment by, which is a Valkey command to update the entry in a sorted set. So what's a sorted set? A sorted set is a collection of unique elements with points associated with them. So they can do sorting at the end to essentially render only the top scores in the sorted set. So here we add the points for that player. And the increment here means we're going to be adding those points to this player. And then we do that, we simulate essentially playing, interacting with the server in their preferred region. So here we have the players in the US will connect to the servers in the US, and the players in Europe, in Germany, will be connecting to Germany. And then this complicated functions here, or complicated name, but simple functions, just really retrieves the top 10 players
Okay.
from that key leaderboard. And then I think let's just run it, right, to see
Yeah.
what we get.
So when this runs, what's going to pop up?
Oops.
There's Pecky.
Yeah.
Switch back. Pecky is what pops up. It's actually a game that's building Pecky, AWS's favorite mascot.
So that the players here and then connected to the USD Swan region, and then they all have points, and then they'll be like the game loop runs. We pick a player at random every quarter of a second, and then update the points, right?
Okay.
And then I have the same application. I'm gonna delete my leaderboard and stop it, and then run the same application in another region. So now I'm connected to Frankfurt.
Okay.
The other one was connected to North Virginia. So now I'm connecting in Frankfurt. I'm going to be running the same game, and then we'll see the same player in Frankfurt as well. So we see EU Central 1. We connected to the EU Central 1 region, and then they're both essentially playing. But now we really want that leaderboard to be multi-region. We want the scores to be merged together, right?
Yes.
And then so for that, we can just run the same application in both regions against the same database, and now we'll see that players will be mixed between Central and US East 1, right? So some
Cool.
players will be in US East 1, the other one in Central. So here Central is winning because I started Central earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if I delete the leaderboard and start fresh, you could see like there's a big mix of Central and EU Central and Germany and Virginia, right? All mixed up together. That's through the power of multi-region. Both regions are active. You can write to both regions at the same time. And then you really see the global view when you ask for the sorted set.
So when this is happening, how are conflicts resolved between the two regions?
Yeah, so we use CRDT, which means conflict-free replicated data types.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's really...
What does that mean? We're like, yes, of
Yeah.
course, of course. Conflict free, we love it.
Yeah.
What does that
Nobody
mean?
likes conflicts, right?
Yes.
So we really use like last try to win at the key level, but for more complex data type, we would use last try to win at the individual item level. Like for instance, for a sorted set, individual sub-items will be like the element in the set, or for a hash table, right, we'll use the individual element in the hash table. So that's how conflicts are resolved.
Got it.
And then at the end, you end up with essentially two sets getting merged together into a single set that the application can interact with.
Yeah. And I think you said this was called Reddit. It was last writer wins.
Last try to win means we favor the most recent updates.
Okay.
Let's say if
Okay.
like two regions update the same value at the same time, we'll favor the last one.
Yeah, so I don't have to go back into the regions and say, hey, also apply this change and also apply this change. It's going to give me what I last did.
Yeah, the last try to wins,
Okay.
essentially. Yeah, it's really typical in multi-region active.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then I have another piece in my demo if you want to see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we said the multi-region is highly resilient, right? So we can support failover. So not only the players can connect to their local region, they can also connect to the other region in case there is a failure, right? So
Okay.
I have a simulation of a failure here. If I press space, now you can see that I was in North Virginia, US Central 1, and now I actually switched to EU Central 1. And I was able to do this with no failover or no downtime because the product is active and multi-region. So the players were able to resume, the applications were able to resume from where we started from by just continuing updating that sorted set, right? Because the data has been replicated.
Okay.
And then we can fail back. And that works in both ways across both regions. So you can do it through this, or you can do it through the, let's say, DNS failover for your application. You can migrate part of your players from one region to another and do that with really no downtime and high availability.
Very cool. So when you do have to fail over and when you simulate or you have a real outage or issue, what is that process for refreshing the data on to make sure everything's in sync again and then
exactly.
opening it back up?
Yeah, so we do that automatically in the background. It's happening in steady state, but also when the region get disconnected and get connected again, we also reconnect and rebring all that data back. And you can monitor it through CloudWatch metrics on how far apart two regions are in terms of like time, right?
Okay.
We call it replication lag.
Okay.
So you can monitor this and let's say, wait, okay, my region are fully caught up now. I can migrate back some of my players to the main region.
That sounds like it takes a huge burden off of a lot of people.
Yeah, it's very difficult to build that yourself if you were to build that yourself, especially the active nature of it.
So when would a customer purposefully choose active versus active passive? What is the design consideration?
Yeah, like active is really will allow you to have the two regions available at the same time. So even for DR use case, that are really true active passive use case, we would recommend an active database if you can. But there are considerations, like I was saying, for instance, you need to have all the region accept writes at the same time. You don't really have to do that, have that kind of capacity in an active passive scenario, for instance.
Okay.
Got it.
Because you only write to a single region and it can fail over to another region.
Okay.
And why would a customer choose this? I guess, why would a customer choose MemoryDB over whatever else they may be considering?
For sure. That's a good question. So MemoryDB is a fully managed database that supports Redis and Valkey. The Redis open source API and the Valkey API. It's a key value store, but it's more than a key value store. It supports complex data type like we've seen. It supports sorted set, list, hash map. So it's really for application owner and developers who want to have the data type they're familiar with inside the database compared to other like more simpler or like less API rich key value store or non-relational database.
Yeah, and what I've really been reading here is about that resiliency, that latency, that availability, and all of those benefits that developers get, and they could, spend that time doing something else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, MemoryDB is in memory. Like the entire data set is in memory, so you'll get extreme performance, like really low latency, really high availability, high throughput. This is why customers pick MemoryDB.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And what is happening at reInvent this week? With this launch, is there any workshop? Is there a chalk talk? Whatever. What's the main focus?
I have a breakout session this afternoon at 2 p.m. I'm going to be running through that after that.
What's the session ID?
426.
426.
Yes,
All right.
426. And then we have other awesome sessions on generative AI. So MemoryDB also support vector similarity search. We launched it in preview last year. We GA this year. So a lot of sessions for that. I just came out of a workshop this morning around that. So really a lot of interest in generative AI and vector search and in-memory databases.
Yeah, that's awesome for the people who are, here at reInvent, but for the people who are at home, where do you want them to go and find out more?
Yeah, I think there's a link you said on the blog post on the What's New. So yeah, everything's live. You can go and play with it right away. It's available. It launched yesterday, so it's available today. 12 regions, so go and try it.
Fantastic. Is there a free tier available?
We have a free tier available for MemoryDB, but not for multi-region.
Right. Okay. That's a good thing to note for those watching who want to test it out. Always take advantage of our free tiers. Free tier is the best tier. AWS. And keep in mind that the free tier is available for the database, but not for multi-region.
No, correct, yeah.
So no surprise cost there.
All right. Well, Jean, this has been great. I love seeing the demo and getting folks in here to see what it is that you've built. Congratulations on your launch, and we hope that reInvent goes well for you.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and for all of you watching us at home, we will be back with more. Stay tuned in the chat. Tell us where you're joining from. We'd love to interact with you. We're still live in the chat on the break, so we'll be back soon.